Hi guys, and welcome to the Spikey Blitz podcast, where we will be talking all things Blood Bowl 3 today. So, firstly, I'd like to introduce you to my first guest, Phill Chatt. Hi, Phill.
No, Ben, you're all right. How are you all doing?
And my second guest today is Peter Scrivener.
Hello, everybody.
So, firstly, guys, I'd like to tell us about yourselves. What's your history and your relationship with Blood Bowl?
My relationship with Blood Bowl, I've been playing in this Murder Ball since 2020, the start of a global situation, which we won't talk too much about, but it is around that time I got into it. I was working one night, someone came along, they talked about winning a Blood Bowl league, and I said, you know what, I've got that, because I remembered I actually got the game by accident originally. And, well, it started off, it's like I thought it was a remake of a Mega Drive classic, Mutant League Football, I think it's called. At the time I did, so I downloaded it thinking, oh great, it's for PS4, and turned out to be a completely different game altogether.
Yeah,
I believe that is it. Yeah, it's like you could be orcs and things and pick up swords.
Okay.
See if I can get this up for you.
So I started playing Blood Bowl as a tabletop game back in the second edition. Then moved across to third edition. And then I fell away from the tabletop game for quite a while until my brother gave me his copy of the Blood Bowl game. And I started playing it again and thought, actually, I'm really enjoying this, and I've missed it, and still playing. Found a league to join. I've been doing strong. I haven't got Blood Bowl 3 yet, so I think that's one of the things we'll discuss later. But yeah, I've been playing it for quite a while.
Yes, that's something we'll come on to later, whether it's worth it or not. And what are your favourite teams, guys?
Skaven and Chaos Dwarf for me.
Phill? Skaven and Chaos
I like
Dwarf.
to I have awkward teams. That's what I do enjoy, is teams where they're not like bashy, edge, balance, whatever. I've not really played with Stunty, so I can't comment on too much of it, apart from against the AI, we know how dreadful that is. But I like teams that are a little awkward, so I played Nobility in Blood Bowl 3. That's actually turned out really well, just because of all the control of the pitch. I've enjoyed playing Nurgle a little bit, because it's a bit awkward and bash as well. And I've just started getting into OWA as well. I managed to reach 34th in the official ladder with OWA.
Oh,
They're quite a strange team to play as.
Nice. Yeah, yes, they are. Nurgle's one of those teams where they're a cancellation team. They're a bashy, but all the other teams' abilities more than they do. That's their special feature. And it's so frustrating to play against, whether it's on the tabletop or on the video game. My name's David. My favourite team's Orcs, and I've been playing Blood Bowl for nearly 22 years now. Tabletop edition, second edition, when it was officially first brought out by Games Workshop. Then they cancelled Blood Bowl, and I carried on with something called the Living Rulebook, and then all the way up to the 2016 edition, and then it's just come back bigger and badder and better than ever. So that's my experience with Blood Bowl.
So sorry, David. Just
David,
you say second edition? Do you mean third edition?
No, second edition.
The one
that was the first one I played.
Yeah, because I've never played.
It came out with the foam pitch.
Oh yes, the foam.
Or like the plastic.
Yeah. The foam pit, and then.
Yeah, so that was the first one I played. I think when I played it, third edition had already come out.
Yeah, I was wondering that, because 22 years.
But the copy we were using was that edition, and then later on we updated to third edition.
That makes more sense. Now the timeline makes sense. I just didn't want anybody pointing out.
So we're all part of a PlayStation Online League on Blood Bowl 2 and soon to be Blood Bowl 3, called the Murder Bowl. Phill, you're kind of like the head honcho over there. At least the most active admin.
Not bad title. Just kind of, there's a season, I think it's just around the time you guys started, where I won't delve into it too much. However, there's a bit of a change in administration, I'll just describe it as. And from there, Matt Campbell, who is the head honcho as such, but he's more like an Alex Ferguson at the moment, he just grabbed 7 or 8 of us and just says, right, I just need some help running this thing. So I went, yeah, sure, I'll do it.
Fair enough. I mean, from my point of view, I mean, obviously there's a lot of leagues I'm not in, but you're like at least the most active admin currently, along with Hayes, who's not here. You seem to do more than most people do, and more than you need to as well, which is fantastic. So I think as a community, I think we all do owe you
Yes.
and a thank you for what you do for Murder Bowl.
No, really,
I think without you specifically, it wouldn't be running the way it's running at the moment.
thank yous all, really, because my opinion, it's, as I say, yeah, you could say that I do me on bits and pieces, but without you, like, it's not there at all. It's like, I could do all the organising in the world, but if everyone's, you know, not helping out by getting into games wherever can, and
Exactly.
everything else, then there is no league.
So within the Murder Bowl at the moment, have you guys had anything interesting happen in the last couple of weeks? I'm not going to talk about my halflings. I'm still too sore at the moment. There's too many.
Halflings and dwarves, I'm guessing that, I didn't watch a match yet, but I'm guessing that when as
Well, it's still up on the YouTube. It's still on the podcast. It's still, you could say all of my halfling games except I think the first one, which is before I had YouTube to cast to, are available to watch. And the last game against dwarves, halflings with 2 treemen, morg, and deep root.
Okay.
So that's how many. Morg and deep root and 2 treemen, and then all my halflings. And morg rolled double skulls twice in one half. Failed to pick up the ball 3 times, I think, off the top of my head. And he managed to roll a 2 die up against deep root and one of my tree men and get double pow both times. And I was playing dwarves and I broke the armor a few times. There was quite a few stunned dwarves, but I only got 1 casualty in the whole game. It was brutal. It really was. And the dice. So when you're playing a stunty team with bad dice is just never gonna go anywhere.
No.
You need to have luck on your side when you play stunties.
Yeah.
It's you just do. But that's half the fun of playing them. When it goes right, it's hilarious. When it goes wrong, it's nasty. I mean, this season, even though I've won 3 games out of 10, is it we played now?
Yeah, this will be
my 11th
this will be
tomorrow night. So I played 10 games. I've won 3 of them.
That's not bad for half.
I was quite impressed with winning 3.
Yeah.
And they definitely need to. I'm looking forward to Halflings and Blood Bowl 3 with the additional positionals.
The hefties and the catchers.
The hopefuls and the catchers and the throwers and stuff, rather than just everyone's Frodo and they're all exactly the same.
Yeah.
How I want a fatty Bolger in there. I want all those in there, added in.
And they actually get Griffiths as our as well. Just to add to it. Yes. Although I will say something about halflings between Blood Bowl 2 and Blood Bowl 3. I definitely prefer the tree men in Blood Bowl 2 than I do in Blood Bowl 3. Just the design of them. I think they just look better. They're tall and they're lanky and they look like trees. What about you, Peter? Anything on Blood Bowl 2 this last couple of weeks on the Murder Bowl?
No, I'm just still bitter after some of my losses. So, I'm just trying to, just like, yes, the dice, sometimes the dice go in your favour. Sometimes
Nuffle has not been with you.
No. But yeah, it's, I think after I got a kicking today 4-2. So, yes, the least said about that, the better.
Yeah. And what about you, Phill?
For me, I actually played Peter's opponent, Richie. As expected, anyone who has played against him in the past knows of his salty sort of last game I had. It was against David Orchestraded Nurgle. I had Woodies. I got away with it massively because I was 2-0 up. Went to the second half, 2-0. He got it back to 2-1 and I thought, okay, I should be able to get one more touchdown. He derailed that, and then it's just about trying to hold the fort, and he had a lot of dice to roll. And Disturbing Presence works for him and against him.
Yeah.
It turns out. So.
Yeah, it does. It definitely does.
So that kind of works out in my favour, really. And I've got one more win, and I do believe I go through to the playoffs with it, if I do.
Nice. Good. So with the main league, so my team, my Lizardman team, the Reptilian Rovers, are in the La Liga Conference. That is now finished, I believe, as of tonight, as we're filming it. The last game is being played tonight. So that will be the main league finished, other than the playoffs. Interesting season there for the La Liga Conference. Anything from the other leagues to report that would be worth noting?
Our division, it's like there's like about 4 or 5 coaches with like the exact same score. We've all done like 3 wins, 5 losses, and 5 draws and 1 loss.
There was a lot of draws
That's
in
insane.
our top league. I think
that's what happens a lot, though, even in tabletop with Blood Bowl. Draws are so common. I mean, the easiest way to get a win in Blood Bowl is something like the 2-1 grind. So, as an Orc player, you give them the ball first, you let them score early, as fast as possible, and then you get the ball all the way through the first half and then all the way through the second half, and try and score 2 touchdowns with hopefully 14 to 16 turns with the ball in your possession. If it goes wrong, that always pretty much ends up in either a 0-0 or a 1-1 draw.
I mean, the other way is, if you are going up against a fragile team, is you receive the ball, you grind them down for 8 turns, so they're left with like 4 players for the second half. You score, it's 1-0.
Yeah.
And then you go into the second half, they've only got like, say, 4 players, and then you just grind them down.
Yeah, that's the bet. That is a really good way to go if you're trying, especially go for the touchdown difference, making sure that you try and get 2 touchdowns with none taken in return. I'm pretty much sure I saw on the NAF the other day the average score is 2-1, but the most likely score overall is a 1-1 draw of Blood Bowl, which makes sense. You know, a lot of the slower teams, it takes them 4 or 5 turns to score, and most of the teams like elves, you have to get lucky with the dice, and if you're not lucky with the dice, then it's not going to go your way. So now we're going to talk about news and updates, guys. So one of the first things that is to report is the patch for the PlayStation. The PC have now had 5 patches. Consoles have had none. So I've gone onto Discord. I've had emails back. The Cyanide and Nacon is basically saying, because of the way PlayStation and Xbox handle updates, it takes longer. So we're going to get less updates, but they're bigger. And I have an email from Nacon and an actual private message from one of the admins of the Blood Bowl saying that our first update will include patches 1 to 4 from the PC. So we will get 4 patches in one go. And they should be the emails this week. Whether that happens or not, they say it's not up to them. They're saying it's all down to PlayStation and how things work on PlayStation's end. The patches are ready to go. They're just waiting for authorization to patch, which they don't need on Steam. So they're passing the buck a bit, but whether it's true or not doesn't really make a difference. We haven't had it yet. But most of the bugs that I've seen reported by our community and some of the ones I've seen on Discord for the PlayStation and for the Xbox are fixed on the PC. So they're not being reported anymore as often because the PC players, which is the biggest community of the 3, aren't reporting. The other side of it is the Brutal Edition cosmetics. Are you guys having any... Phil, sorry, have you had any problems with your Brutal Edition cosmetics?
Not now, no. I don't want to say too much because I know the agenda, but I've just equipped up my Nobility and Black Ox today. I'm yet to play with all of the cosmetics, so we'll see how it goes.
Okay. So some people are reporting that once you've assigned it to something and then you come out and you log out of the game, and then when you log in the next day, they're missing from all your players. And when you click on it, it should tell you who's got the equipment, and it's coming up blank. The Brutal Edition cosmetics, a lot of people haven't got to use them once them to a player. A email back saying it's working, and all you have to do is log into the game, and if it's still not working, reinstall the game, which I did, and they still weren't working. And then in the reply back from that, they said, oh, yeah, it's not working for PlayStation or Xbox yet, but it is working for PC. So once you do use those cosmetics, Phill, you'll probably find that they will disappear, but they are working on the patch for it, and it probably will come when they bring in the main patch.
Yeah.
How do you find the monetization, Phill? What the original
At the
monetization?
minute, I'm hoping to kind of get all these little bugs and everything else sorted out. However, the monetization, I've read some things on the internet. I'm yet to find out the truth for myself about the rumours that come about with them being one use. If a dime, then you lose those cosmetics. Hopefully, we'll get a bit more of an idea of what's implied by this once we get in season 1.
So there has been a lot of talk online about how it is one-use cosmetics on permadeath characters, which would be a massive issue if that was true. However, it is not. They are one-use items that once a character dies, they go back into your inventory. So but you can buy multiple of the same item. That's what they're saying. So you could buy 6 of the same helmet, put them on 6 of your guys. One of them dies, that helmet goes back into your inventory. You can use it again. So there are a lot of YouTubers out there, a lot of streamers out there that are saying basically that they're stealing money from you because it's digital content you're paying for, and as soon as your character dies, you lose the item because the character's dead. That's just fabrication. That's not even true in any way, shape, or form. But it is pleased to announce, when it came up last week, obviously we were meant to record this earlier, so we would have been talking about this as it happened, really. But they have completely gone backwards on some of them. So the common and rare and epic items, once the patch goes through, will be unlimited use a month, and you will also, everyone here, not have to buy multiple copies of the same helmet or shoulder pad anymore. They also did clarify in a Discord message that anyone who's bought multiples will get that warp stone refunded. So if you bought 6 of them, you'll be refunded for 5 of them.
That sounds fair.
And that's fine. The thing people are still having an issue with are these legendary items. And that's because the legendary items aren't changing. The legendary items are staying exactly the same. So you have one, you can only use one. The only thing that is changing for legendary items is it's not just one on one team. You have one on every team of the same team. So if you have 3 noble teams, you can put that legendary item on one player within each of your teams. Sounds a bit complicated, and it sounds really over the top. But once you get into the system, it's actually not that bad. Once they've changed it, and to be honest, I've got no problem with the legendary items only being once, because they should be unique. They are legendary items.
It's
what do you think
in Skyrim, for example, where say you find a legendary item, you wouldn't expect to go into local blacksmiths and find the same thing again.
Exactly. But you could find an epic or rare or common item in that blacksmith, because they're not legendary. Then they're just well made of the same thing. So that's absolutely fine. So yeah, and then obviously the other side of it is a sort of like they're giving the season 1 blood pass to everyone for free.
Nice.
So Pete, this is where I would say it would definitely be worth jumping in, even though the game isn't quite where we want it to be. It is definitely playable, in my opinion. I think Phill is on the same level with that.
Yes.
Totally it's not as broken as Necromunda was at its release. It's not where we want it to be, but it's not particularly about the in-game things that it's not where it wants to be. It's the admin tools, I think, and the pausing system and the reconnection systems and all stuff that they've announced that will come later on that are stopping people from doing big leagues on Blood Bowl 3 compared to Blood Bowl 2. What do you think about that, Phill, when it comes to within the game?
Yeah, absolutely. I do wholeheartedly agree. It's a couple of things I do know that we need to work on is if you're doing a round robin, we need to kind of get it so you can see league tables from within the game. Hopefully we can do that idea, which I'm sure I've heard about, where they're having an app where you can do the admin work from the app. The other bit is...
Yeah, it definitely would be.
It's that incident that happened to me the other week where I thought, you know what, I'm taking on the tough Orc team, got my Renegades, brand new, managed to pull it back to 1-1, and then the Orcs won 2-1.
That was an odd one. That was something that was happening a lot on PC until the second patch, I believe. So hopefully that'll be an issue that will be fixed once we get our main patch, which is patches 1 through 4 on the console. Yeah, that's something that I have seen a lot on the Facebook pages, especially Blood Bowl 3 on Blood Bowl on PlayStation Facebook page, which seems to be quite a good community. A lot of people on there. A lot of people looking for leagues. You have the MML on there as well, which is a much more serious league than ours. Yeah. Blood Bowl 3 versus Blood Bowl 2. Where's my
head at? I think in your heart you want Blood Bowl 3 to be much better. Of course, I didn't see the online issues with Blood Bowl 2 once it first came out. However, I heard Blood Bowl 2 was meant to be far worse from hearsay, but at the time it is like I think Blood Bowl 2 is obviously running much better at the moment, but in your heart you want Blood Bowl 3 to work out.
Yes, I think Blood Bowl 3, you're completely right there. Blood Bowl 3 is a superior game in many ways, especially when you look at the menus and the stuff around the game. Not just when you're playing it, everything that leads up to it is so much better thought out.
The visual, the graphics.
And then in-game, the graphics are much better. They're much more sharper. They've still got that cartoony look, so they don't look particularly different from Blood Bowl 2. They just look sharper, I think. And they are using the updated Games Workshop models, which is brilliant in some respects.
Yes.
Other respects, a lot of the Orcs, for example, if it wasn't for the stances between blitzers, the Black Orcs, and the linemen being different, you wouldn't really tell role just from looking at them. But that isn't Cyanide or Nacon's fault. That's Games Workshop's modeling.
Totally.
So yeah, I think that is definitely where it is. So with the two, Blood Bowl 2 definitely if you're playing in a serious competitive league, but to mess around on in between, Blood Bowl 3 is perfectly viable. Yeah. I think at the release of Season 1, though, it will depend on how quickly you gain this XP to unlock the new things will be determine how much I play Blood Bowl 3. So as I was saying, Pete, I think jump in by Season 1.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get the Blood Pass for free, which will give you enough Warp Stone to buy the Blood Pass in Season 2. And it will give you the new faction for free. So every 3 months, I'll bring it up. Now we'll talk about the future of Blood Bowl 3. I'll bring that up. So they gave us a roadmap a few months ago. Here it is. So you've got Season 1, Season 2, Season 3. That takes us up to November, December, January. So January 2024, this takes us up to. So we've got Season 1, Season 2, Season 3 takes us up to January 2024. So this is the rest of 2023 for Blood Bowl 3. We're currently in pre-season, which is here. And the pre-season is basically, even though they haven't called it, it's beta. We're testing out the game. They're fixing bugs, and that's it. So as of May, Season 1 will officially start, and we'll get an official ladder, which everyone can just jump in. You play, you see if you can get to the top, and then they will do at the beginning of Season 2, I believe it will be, they'll do a competition for the top teams from season 1. The PC are already doing this on a monthly basis through preseason. The consoles are not doing it at the moment, but you can see your ranking on the main menu when you go into it, so that's good. And that ladder will be reset at the start of each season, which is fantastic. And so you can start a new team at season 2, start a new team at season 3. You're not going to lose anything compared to everyone else. Each season, we're also going to get a new faction. We're going to get a new Blood Pass, and Blood Pass will contain cheerleaders, stadiums, cosmetic bits for all the different teams. I wouldn't be surprised if the Blood Pass contains mostly cosmetics for the new team. But we'll see how that goes within the first couple seasons, because there's 12 teams there then that wouldn't get cosmetics as much as new teams. And a new competitive season for the official ladder, as it says there. And then there'll be improvements each season. So in season 1, in-match readability optimization was clarified to meaning things like being able to see what skills people have in game, in match, how the game looks in match. For us, there's a little button you press R1 on the PlayStation. I'm assuming that's the R button on the Xbox. You get an inspect, and at the moment in Blood Bowl 2, you click on the player, you press left and right on the D-pad, you can see what skills they've got. Now what you have to do is click on the player, bring up their little card, go to the inspect button, and then put the little magnifying glass somehow over the little skills symbols, and then that brings up what the skill is and what it does.
Don't go in from over the top, I've noticed on that.
Yeah.
Go from underneath where the play all the skills section actually is.
Yeah. So it's not the best, but hopefully that's one of the things they'll fix with the in-match readability optimization. Basically means sorting their shit out on screen. Season 2 will come with all the same things, but they will also add new features of replay mode, so you can go in and rewatch your matches, which you can do in Blood Bowl 2 now.
Yeah.
And spectator mode, you can go and watch other people's matches live in the game, which is in Blood Bowl 2 now. So nothing new to players of Blood Bowl 2, just making sure that they bring Blood Bowl 3 up to where Blood Bowl 2 is. And then the improvements resume a game after a disconnection, already in Blood Bowl 2, and a pause system. Although they really already have one, I think, in Blood Bowl 3. You can pause the game, but the only issue is the other person can unpause it when you're not there.
Yeah.
So that's an issue. But I'm assuming they'll change the pause system so that doesn't happen anymore. Season 3 in November, new faction, new Blood Pass, new customizations, new competitive season. This is where they start, I think, bringing the game up to the place of Blood Bowl 2020, the tabletop version, with the star player special rules. Blood Bowl 2, star players had their stats. They were better than most players, but that was it. In Blood Bowl 2020 tabletop, they all have a special rule that can either be done once per turn or once per game, and they'll introduce that in November. They're also going to update the rules from the board game, which is going to be interesting to see what they do, whether they're meaning FAQing the game using the FAQs Games Workshop put out, or whether they're going to bring in things like Dungeon Bowl, which is what everyone's hoping for.
I know that there's a few complaints about the whole sevens side of things, because everyone, there are people saying, "Oh, I want sevens," and I'm sure one of the devs did reply to them saying, "Sevens was never part of the deal. If you don't like it, ask for a refund, move forward."
Yeah. So I doubt it'll be sevens. I doubt it'll be Dungeon Bowl, but realistically, probably not by season 3. But I wouldn't be surprised by season 13, when they're running out of things to add, that they go back to Games Workshop and try and get that license and add it to the game. It'd be amazing. It doesn't need to be a full game on its own, but adding it part of a Blood Pass would be amazing. Instead of a new team, we're going to give you Dungeon Bowl. That'd be amazing. I think that's an amazing idea. Yeah. And the biggest feature from November is obviously crossplay.
Yes.
Being able to play with other players on PC or Xbox or PlayStation, it doesn't matter what console or where you're from. The implication of that for leagues is incredible, because the devs have said they want to turn Blood Bowl into an esport. They want to make it to a point where they're having national competitions where they're so crossplay is a big part of that, because that's one of the reasons why a game like Fortnite got so big, because there was no PlayStation League, there was no PC League, there was no Xbox League, there was just Fortnite, and that's it. And the World Championships of Fortnite are massive. People tune in on Twitch in their millions to watch the finals and things like that. Not doubt that it ever happened with Blood Bowl 3. The fan base isn't there like it would be. But there is a Blood Bowl Tabletop World Cup in September in Spain, and they're expecting 3,000 players to turn up. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if you could do something like that on Blood Bowl 3, have a World Cup. I wonder how many people would tune in for the final. I would. If I'd been part of the competition, I would tune in for that final.
Absolutely, yeah. It's
so, and Blood Bowl is one of those games that's specifically suited for crossplay, in the fact that, unlike Fortnite, where you've got people on console using controllers and people on PC using keyboard and mouse, the people on keyboard on Fortnite with the building and stuff is so much easier on keyboard and mouse. It gives them a distinct advantage. Whereas on this, there's no advantage between the two. It's turn-based, it's slower. It's not going to make a difference whether you're on keyboard or mouse, other than maybe if you were playing a 1-minute time limit game, the person on the PC would have a massive advantage in the fact that they could quite easily move around the pitch quicker. That's the only thing I can come up with crossplay where it'd be an issue. But yeah, I think that's the future of Blood Bowl 3 as stated by the devs at the moment.
Yeah, honestly, I would love to take part in some kind of a World Cup like thing. Say I've started to engage with some players I've played against already. Because if I'm one of those people, it's like, if drawn with me, fantastic game, they beat me, and then I'll just outright message them and say, you know what, you played well, fantastic game. So I'm starting to build up that community from outwards as well, so it's fantastic.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. So Peter, what do you think? So as someone who doesn't own the game, where do you think you're standing on jumping to Blood Bowl 3?
I think so. One of my concerns is just, so the tabletop game has got 21 teams, I believe, at the moment. We have only got 12, with another 3 to come by the end of this. It just feels like it's a slow grind to get some of the other teams. And I know some of the teams are probably quite difficult to do, like Snotlings with their swarming rules and things like that. But yeah, it feels, because I've been watching a bit of Blood Bowl on Twitch, just to see how it plays and things like that, and it's starting to feel a bit similar because of that. I think that
the lack of teams, yes. However, obviously, Blood Bowl 2 was in exactly the same position. If I remember rightly, it only had 12 teams when it launched as well.
And that's where I came in.
Was it
8? There was Brets, Humans, Dwarves, Orcs, Skaven, Chaos, Dark Elves, and High Elves.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
but you've got a pre-order
obviously with the
Wood Elves, I do believe.
Yeah, but you got them in the Game of the Year edition, or the whatever they called it, which is great. But I think I get it. It is a slow grind, and every 3 months having a new team. But they are, to be honest, using Games Workshop's business model. Because with the tabletop, we've got all those teams, but it's been 2016 to 2023. 2016, they launched with all the teams except... Sorry, it's been 30 years, and that's how many years it's taken to get this many teams. But I've got no problem with it being a slow grind. It means we get 3 months where the meta sort of levels out with a team, and they get to sort that out. And then they bring in a new team and the meta changes. And that's exactly what Games Workshop do with the tabletop edition. Most recently with Amazons and Norse and Khorne, all becoming very, very different. Plus, it also gives them the ability that the teams they've used have teams made by Games Workshop and are not going to change massively in the next few years. So by doing it this slow, it means that if they decided to bring out Chaos Dwarves, they've got years to then redevelop the Chaos Dwarf team that they might already have. So I think my advice to anyone who's wondering whether they should jump or not, if you like Blood Bowl 2, get Blood Bowl 3 before May.
Yeah, and that's one thing. I think end of April is probably my decision point.
Yeah, I would do that. As you're getting season 1 for free, which means you're getting a new faction. So you're gonna have 13 teams for the same cost. And then they have already stated that you'll get enough Warpstone in that Blood Pass to buy the following Blood Pass. You'll never have to buy another team, unlike Blood Bowl 2, where they were all DLC packs and you had to pay for all the extra teams. So it's a trade-off. You're getting the teams for free if you play the game a lot, but you're getting them at a slower pace. So yeah, it's a bit of a trade-off. So it depends on where your personal opinion on those two things lie. A lot of people had a problem because you paid for the game, but they had this free-to-play business model, which is exactly what it is. It's the battle pass from. They've basically stolen the battle pass from Fortnite, and applied it to a free game. Sorry, not a free game. They've applied it to a game that you pay for. So that was a lot of people's problems. But I think they missed the point, because the Blood Pass and all the cosmetics are optional. It is annoying that there's only one model for each positional in the game as standard. So everyone does look exactly the same. But they have also stated that there's something like 50-something odd cosmetics just from leveling up your coach, which you'll get for free. So your coach level will go up to, I think, 20. When you hit level 20 as a coach, the same as Blood Bowl 2, but you're going to get stuff rather than the gold coins they gave you to buy cosmetics in Blood Bowl 2, if you didn't buy the Game of the Year edition where you got everything anyway. It's exactly the same. So a lot of people, I think, were missing the point of why they chose this business model. And I think it is good to have seasons. I think overall, having that ladder reset and having the way the game is going to work, and by the time we get to season 3, we'll all be so used to it, it'll be second nature. It doesn't help the game has come out in such a, especially for the pre-launch, so the people who bought the Brutal Edition, that got the game early by like 3 days.
Yep.
For those 3 days, the game was pretty much unplayable, which was a bit of a kick in the teeth. But out of that, we've got an extra 1,250 Warpstone compared to standard edition players, which, you know, is enough to buy 2 season passes and a bit.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's all, there's a roundabout here that you can either stay on the roundabout and get upset and keep going round and round in circles, or you can realize that yes, they launched the game in a sorry state, but it's not unplayable. It's not Necromunda, which a lot of people are saying, in any way, shape, or form. And the customization isn't as bad as the streamers who wanted to get. Basically, there was a lot of streamers who I think put out headlines to get people to watch their videos about how it's the greediest game ever made, without really looking into it. And so I think that's where Blood Bowl 3's had a lot of bad press that's unneeded. The only thing they could have had bad press for, in my opinion, is the fact that they had such a granulated monetization system, but they've gone back on that now, and it's absolutely fine now, so everyone can shut up about it. And the state of the game in when it launched, the bugs, the unplayable, the way there was no connection. Me and Phill tried to play a game together, and we couldn't actually connect to each other, even though we're friends on PlayStation, and it just didn't work.
Yeah, just weren't playing ball at all. And the worst thing is that my wife actually selected a team for me as well. And I was like, oh, sorry, I wanted to play.
I know, we still need to play that game. We still need to play that game. And I'm not even talking about the last time we actually did get to play a game. And we just skipped the last 8 turns because it was abysmal. I think I only had like 4 players left on the pitch. It was by the end of turn 7.
It wasn't quite a Skaven game, which I ended up playing.
No, it wasn't. So what do you two think about the future of Blood Bowl 2 then, in relation to this? How long do you think Blood Bowl 2 will keep going before the servers... I don't think they'll shut the servers off anytime soon, but before the servers are pretty much empty.
I will give it a couple of years. before we just say, right, okay, we just can't do this anymore?
I think by the end of season 2, I think there'll be a big jump. The end of season 2, maybe the end of season 3, but I think a lot of leagues would want to do it for the start of the cross-play situation, where trying to get random online games will almost be impossible on Blood Bowl 2. I think once they get the reconnection stuff, the pause system stuff over to Blood Bowl 3, I think that's when you'll start to see the decline.
To me, I think season 2 will be probably the tipping point. I think. I think at the moment, the game, needs the season 1 stuff to come out. I think, as you said, there's a few patches that need to come out on the consoles. By the time you get to season 2, it's pretty much there. If you look at the roadmap, because the stuff that's coming in season 3, that to me is more nice to haves.
Yeah, I think by the time we get to season 3, the game will be up to a place where it's Blood Bowl 2, but better.
And then,
because all the features are added in. And then they can look forward. It's going to be interesting to see what season 4 and 5 and 6 are going to look like next year. Season 4 to 7, isn't it? 3 or 4 in a year. So,
figured out
and what they add
6
and
years
what factions.
For what do you call it? The amount of teams that Blood Bowl 3 will have. If they do one every 3 months, and then the amount of teams there is that Games Workshop have, plus if they take out a new team every 6 months, then it's going to be 6 years before there's that make teams.
We can get into speculation where they might, I don't know, for Christmas offer a pack of 4 teams for a price and do it outside.
They probably will. They have said that if you miss a season, you will be able to buy the teams you've missed with Warpstone. So that will probably they'll get to Christmas, and I think season 3, they'll do a deal for the season 1 and 2 teams where you get half of a team off, 25% off, something like that. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Or if they need cash, they might just say,
again,
here's Norse and Amazons, and you can buy them for 10. If Cyanide needs some income, you might find they'll sell the team separately.
Yeah, definitely. They've said they want to keep a dedicated team on this game for the entire time of its lifespan.
Yeah.
So realistically, for this game to succeed how the devs want it to succeed and how we want it to succeed, we, the community, need to support it. And funny enough, it was reminding me of a comment I made the other day about the Dungeons and Dragons movie. It's exactly the same principle. A lot of people are boycotting that movie because of what happened with Wizard of the Coast and the OGL and that. But if you don't support this movie just because you don't like something from Wizard of the Coast, but you want to support Dungeons and Dragons, then the studio's not going to make more of the movie if you don't support the first one.
Yeah.
It won't become a franchise unless you support the first one. So everyone can bitch and moan as much as they want about how Blood Bowl 3 is right now, but if you don't support it, Nacon and Cyanide will just pull that dedicated team, and we'll end up with a game that's half finished.
Yeah.
And we won't get all the teams that we want.
Yeah.
So there's a level we need to support this so that it'll get to the point that we want to get it to. And if we're all clever, we'll never have to actually give them another penny, because we'll use the Warpstone from our blood passes to buy the next blood pass. And that way we don't need to spend any more money, and we just pick up the odd cosmetic when we want it.
Yeah.
So I think everyone should jump into Blood Bowl 3, or at least have a copy of Blood Bowl 3 by the beginning of season 1, and make sure that they get that season 1 blood pass. Get the season 1 blood pass, play through it, get your Warpstone, get the new faction, ready for season 2. Season 2 comes along, do exactly the same thing. New team, new blood pass, new cosmetics, new ground, new balls, new dice. And be interesting to see what they actually put up in the blood pass. I'm looking forward to seeing a blood pass laid out in the same way Fortnite lays out a battle pass, where you see what you get at what level, and whether you can buy levels with your Warpstone, like you can buy levels with V-Bucks.
Yes.
You can buy the first 25 levels with your V-Bucks, so you can jump to level 25. And be interesting to see if they put something in like that as well. Because if they want people to spend V-Bucks, you might get to 2 weeks before the end of the season, have not finished it and gone, oh crap. And you won't have enough time to grind it, depending on what their XP grind is. We don't know yet. There's not been any information on that. So I think Blood Bowl 2's future is the end of season 2 is going to be the beginning of the end of Blood Bowl 2. So what's that, August? So November. So November is going to be the beginning of the end for Blood Bowl 2, assuming that the devs don't mess up Blood Bowl 3 between now and November. Which, to be honest, I'm fine with. Because Blood Bowl 2's been out, since 2015?
2015, yeah. Are we going to hold a funeral?
I think we should. I think we should have one. Maybe we should. Maybe we should have one big blowout, 1-day tournament. Every game is streamed live. And there'll be some kind of prize, maybe. Maybe I'll look into that. What do you think, Phil? November, or do you think it'll be later?
I think it'll be still later, really, because, as I say, even though I'm looking at this now on the screen, might need to zoom in a little. Yes, I can. Perfect. Still looks like there's a few things still to happen. Even I'd probably say maybe 2024, that season 4's, and then that's when we'll actually get that complete game. That's my opinion.
That would make sense. That would make sense if Nacon are clever. January sales, make the game cheap, get people to jump in January for season 4, and maybe even do deals on the teams they've missed.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a perfect chance to catch back up with everything as well, and be able to just reevaluate the whole year, really. We're wanting everyone to support the game, and then this is the last chance another chance really to get people on board with it all.
Exactly. I'm looking forward to the crossplay. Because I've got 3 people in this house that could join the league, but can't, because if we got drawn against each other, there's actually no way for us to play each other.
Hot seats. No, there's kind of a hot seat, but it doesn't really work the same.
So once crossplay comes in, I would actually be tempted to either pick it up on the Xbox or pick it up on the Switch.
Yeah.
I've got both of those. So, or even PC. Actually PC would probably be the best bet. Pick it up on PC because I could use it for the live streams and stuff like that as well, which would be much easier. And then once my eldest draws, if we end up drawing in the same league when we have to play each other, we could easily do it. One of us logs in on the PC and the other one logs in on the PlayStation. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do that. I hope they do it well. I hope they do it. You log into your account, and it doesn't matter which console or PC you log into, you get the same options. We don't want a situation where you have to buy everything multiple times across different consoles.
To be fair, I don't understand why they would do that anyway, because it's forced you to create a profile that's not your PlayStation account.
Because it's cyanide?
Yeah.
Because it's cyanide.
As no cyanide, but still, if I've made you create an account, then surely it would be transferable between accounts anyway.
Yeah. To be honest, I think they've already got everything in place, and the evidence for that is actually on the game. When you log in to play someone, like I noticed when I was logging in to play you, Phil, your name had a little PlayStation symbol next to it. And when you load up the game, you've got to log into your account when you load it up.
Yeah.
So it does look like they've already got everything in place for crossplay. Apparently, it's very easy to implement across games. It comes down to whether PlayStation lets you do it or not. Yeah. How much you're willing to backhand PlayStation, I think, is basically the term that Fortnite put it in. Yeah, so it's all moving forward. I think Blood Bowl 3's got a very bright future. I think it's got a solid base, is what it is right now. And the foundation is there for a very, very good game.
Yes,
Um,
totally agree.
and they just need to make sure they build on top of that and create the game that they wanted to create, that we expect them to create from this amazing IP that has managed to last, what, nearly 37 years now, I think. I think it came out in 1985 originally. I might be wrong about that, so don't jump down my throat if I have got the exact date wrong. But I think it was 1985. So it survived being cancelled. It's survived being brought back. It survived complete different iteration. It survived Blood Bowl 2. Oh my god, it survived Blood Bowl 1, for crying out loud. That was an absolute
I never played it.
joke of a game. No, you don't want to. You don't want to. It's
Well,
rubbish.
they have caught them, from what I've heard, but
I mean, it survived Blood Bowl 2's launch. Everyone forgets, was absolutely shocking. And now everyone's raving about how good the game is because they've had 7-8 years to work on it. So I think that's the future of Blood Bowl on computers. The future of Blood Bowl on tabletop is pretty secure, in my opinion. Games Workshop seem to be doing quite a good job with that. But I think we've got a good future, and I think especially the leagues will jump forward when the crossplay comes in. I think that's going to be a very major part of it. Okay, so the preseason, as they're talking about, mostly comes down to a PC ladder, which they're hoping to turn into a console ladder during the second month of release, I think they said. So that's going to be interesting. There is also where you can see the ladder and who's at the top, how many games they've played, how many wins, losses, draws, their TV. It's all available on Discord, that you can see it. Okay, so Phill, the future of Murder Bowl. Is there anything for the community that you want to push ahead with?
So at the moment, as many of you know, we've got this Murder Bowl's open kill thrill for anyone that is on Blood Bowl 3 now. They can join in. If you do join a group, and then they will be given. Then they'll be put into a page where we can organise games. What it is, it's a ladder. You can go in there, you can send out open challenges. You can settle a grudge if you want. See if anyone's wanting to play. However you want to use it, it's there for you for now. Obviously, of course, we can't fully commit to Blood Bowl 3 for now, because in my heart, I don't want to leave anybody homeless. But if anyone wants to fully commit to Blood Bowl 3, I totally understand. There is a few people doing this now, so they'll be heading off. That's absolutely fine. I totally get it, because you're switching back and forth between the two games, and you're pressing triangle to sort of end turns when you're meant to be pressing the central button to end the turn. So totally understand that. So next season should be interesting in terms of who we still got available, because I might need to rejig how we do it. But yeah, I know that a while back I did send everyone to fill out like this little 2 to 3 minute survey. It is not being ignored. The only reason why I've not mentioned certain things is because it is in deep conversation. But we're kind of working out ways to make it so it's like it addresses everyone's needs, really, or as many needs as possible with everything that we do. So some of them that I did mention before, I'll name a few now. The divisions. I know like the naming of the divisions. I've got a format which I'm going to try next season just to make it a bit easier for that. However, we still want to keep that personality at the same time. Another thing someone mentioned, they don't want any more flouncing. It's actually much easier to get Dark Elves to get Mighty Blow now, so that shouldn't be a problem. The amount of teams you can select. Because at the minute we're on like, you can only have a maximum of 2 orc teams, 2 human teams, and so on. Right. Obviously, when we go into Blood Bowl 3 and commit to that, that number's going to change completely, because there won't be enough teams to make it viable to have 2 of each. But I will say it now, the reason why we've gone with this rule, this is pre-me time is because we had one season when it was a pretty much open field where everybody selected orcs. So you knew who you're taking on from week to week, and it just was a dull season, really. So it will be increasing. The number is not decided yet, but it definitely isn't going to be 2 originally. However, over time, this may change if we see the same things happening. It won't be an unlimited number, but it will increase from 2. That's what I'll say for that. The concede rule, there is something we are working on, but it will depend entirely upon the numbers to make this properly work.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad we got some decent responses for that. That survey, Phil. It was a very good thing to put out, I think. And it needed to go out. We needed to get some feedback, I think, for the community to make sure we can move forward. The future of this channel. So the podcast that we're doing, the streaming that we're doing today is going to be on a monthly basis, and hopefully Phil and Peter will come back with me next month. We might be able to get some special guests in. I'm going to be doing a few different types of series. Those series include team development videos, formation videos for each of the races that have been released onto Blood Bowl 3. So I'll be doing lots of videos for all the different teams. And the first series that I'm going to record, I'm calling the Background Brush. I'll be recording that this week, and I'm going to be in my first episode talking about the history of Blood Bowl. Not from a real world view, but the actual fluff and the background story of Blood Bowl. Give everyone an insight into how Blood Bowl changed the old world and how it differs from the old world or the Age of Sigmar or whatever you want. It's an alternate reality, so we'll be talking a little bit about that while I paint miniatures badly, to be completely honest. And there'll be other series. One of the other series I'll be doing as well is was a request actually from someone within our community, which was the differences between Blood Bowl 2 and Blood Bowl 3 on the rules. So that'll be a video that I put out as fast as possible, so that anyone who hasn't done it before, who doesn't play tabletop, they can see the differences between what on tabletop is Blood Bowl 2016, which is Blood Bowl 2, and Blood Bowl 2020, which is Blood Bowl 3. There are enough differences that make it a very different game, while still having the soul of Blood Bowl. Right, so thank you guys. We will come back together in about a month's time.
Perfect.
We might come together sooner if we get any kind of breaking news, and we'll just do like a breaking news look at this kind of thing maybe. But until then, I'll see you on the pitch, and thank you.
See you later, everyone.
Hey guys, thank you for tuning into the Spikey Blitz podcast. If you enjoyed the content today and want to see more, please like and subscribe on the buttons below. And until then, see you on the pitch.